It's a very interesting way to join the video. All you can see is hands. Hi. There are 3 pairs of hands.
Do you like my
Just
presentation?
hands.
Do you like my presentation?
Really?
It's not neat.
Center it? Hey.
Can you just stop fretting over neatness? Because we're going to mess it all up anyway.
No.
We are actually going to make stuff, do stuff. Can you stop being silly? Right. Hi moms, hi dads, hi little people who want to revise. It's good to see you here. We have talked revision cards for a while, and I keep getting questions about how you make it and how you use it. So the kids and I need to make their revision cards, and I'm just going to oversee it. I want to help parents who need to oversee it also see how it's done. Pick up a few strategies, and they are very personal, these flashcards. Some people are text people, so you will find, right? You will find that there's more text and little illustration. Some people are illustration people.
I'm colorful.
You are colorful, so Missy Mo will be colorful. You want to show people what the illustration types look like whilst I share the video.
Okay, good luck.
This is Nana being fat because of mass.
Really?
What? I never said it was me.
Really?
Yes.
So who else could it possibly
There
be?
weren't any other colours, alright? It was limited.
Limited.
Okay, besides, so on one side, usual strategy, the flashcard strategy is to put a question. But sometimes
what?
you find out that you may forget how to answer it, so I like to put little hints on the side.
What is variation? Something to do with variety.
I'm showing.
Yeah, if you just take turns, it will help a lot.
Okay. You have 10 seconds to pick. I have 20.
Lovely.
Democracy.
Yeah, it works.
Okay. Alright, so these hints kind of help you to get an idea of what you want to summarize on the flashcard. Okay. So that it's a lot harder to forget. Then, for the extra details, you turn around on the other side. So that things don't get boring. I like to add a few little illustrations to summarize each little point I make.
Little ones or weird ones. I love your illustrations, by the way. They are so wacky. But there you go. So sometimes you have a fat-bellied one. Sometimes you have all sorts of things going on there, and I like it. It's personal. Missy Mo is a colourful one, so she will be highlighting and colouring.
My physics ones.
You have some physics ones. Bring some samples. So Nana, you want to do the heart, yeah?
Yes.
Okie dokie. Let's start. I think for yours, the bigger ones might be better. Because for that topic, you need space. Yeah. Bigger ones are better because the topic he's doing is a detailed, content-heavy topic. And when you do content-heavy topics, it helps if you have space. So I am going to talk through Nana through some of the things that I like to do, and then he would make his own. He's still going to make the question-based ones. Okay.
But these are mine. They have very few colors, surprisingly. I don't know why I didn't choose more. Yeah. If there's more than one thing to create one mark, I would use stars.
So these are the scoring points for that topic.
Yeah, you have to say all of them to get all the marks.
To get all the marks, I like that. So listen, which topic did you say you wanted to work on again?
Wait, are we working on separate topics?
Yeah, separate topics.
Okay, then also biology,
It was the transport unit, isn't it?
I think so.
Okay, so let's work. I will start with Missy Mo, because Nana seems already in the groove.
Wait.
So hers was transport. And we have 2 main types of transports in living systems. We have for small quantities,
Wait. No.
and we have it for large quantities. Under the large quantities, it is called bulk transport. So this is my version of things. Obviously, you will make your version with your colors and highlights and illustrations and so on. Under bulk transport, we have movement into the cells and we have movements out of the cells. If something is moving into cells, the method is endocytosis.
Like endothermic.
Endo, yeah. And if it's going out, then it's exocytosis. Right. Small quantities. We have two main types. It either uses energy or there is no energy. If it uses energy, then it is active transport.
And if it doesn't, it's passive.
And if it does not use energy, it is passive transport. And at the moment, at GCSE, the only method of passive transport we look at is just diffusion. Obviously, when you get to A level, we would do active transport. We would look at facilitated diffusion and ordinary diffusion. Right now, don't worry about it. Just diffusion. And we have active transport over here. And around each one, you will write definitions and you will write key concepts. Don't worry too much about exocytosis and endocytosis, except that it's into and out of cells and involving large quantities. Say that again.
I just need to know that if it's out, it's exocytosis.
Yeah, and if it's in, it's endo. We are done. So you can now personalize them with definitions around each one of them and illustrations around each one of them. So Nana has to draw all these lovely question marks around it.
So like it's a lot easy to tell without at a quick glance which one's going to be question side.
I don't know. I still think that it looks to me like you have a lot of time on your hands.
Well, when I did these, I had like an hour to do like 5 of these.
Right, and you can't afford that kind of time. Habibti, you need to stop with the colours already and put the information on first.
You said
definitions,
personalized.
where it happens, yes. So give me examples of where diffusion happens. Give me example of where osmosis happens. No, he's just moving things from the table.
I thought she needed us.
Right, there we go. We'll pile them in layers so we have a little bit more space. And this is right here underneath. Right. Hi guys. Hi John. Hi John. Hi everybody. I hope what we're doing is just giving you an idea. So Nana is doing the cardiovascular system. Like I started Abena off, I always draw the heart in this funny system. I know it doesn't look anything like a proper heart, but you will find that that's the main spine
Skinny looking card.
of the heart.
That's
and it goes from there.
Like the one I've drawn at all.
Of course, it's nothing like the one you've drawn.
Why is the
Because the ones who drew yours are not as artistic
I
as
actually
me.
drew this one myself.
But you copied from a non-artistic person. You know, I can't be blamed for other people not having a good imagination and all sorts of things.
What's that?
Excuse me. This is a very beautiful heart. Thank you. The heart has 4 chambers. The top chambers are atrium, singular,
Could you please?
atria, plural. So this is how you remember them. It makes life a whole lot easier. The bottom ones are ventricles. This is also a ventricle. But what is on your physical left is actually on the right of the heart, because we will have to turn it round and put it on your chest. So this is my left hand. So this is my right atrium, right ventricle, left atrium, left ventricle. Obviously, there is a slight divide over here. This contains deoxygenated blood, and this side contains oxygenated blood. These things are valves. These are ventricular valves. One is the bicuspid valve and one is the tricuspid valve. Usually at GCSE, we're not necessarily requiring you to know the difference between them. So we'll call them valves. Obviously, over here, you have more valves. But that's a topic for another day. This thing is taking blood away from the heart. So what kind of blood vessel takes things away from the heart? Blood away from the heart. So this is going to be an artery. But it's going to the lungs, and the general biological name for lung is pulmonary. So this is the pulmonary artery. This coming right here is the pulmonary vein. And then we have the aorta, which is the main artery leading from the left ventricle. And you have coming in the vena cava. And you will see sometimes you have the superior vena cava and the inferior vena cava. Do you know the difference between them?
Superior says takes blood from the head, deoxygenated from the head. Inferior takes the deoxygenated blood from the rest of the body.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
So you've got it. All right. So tricuspid valve.
Takes blood from the
Bicuspid valve. Yeah. And then the only other significant thing is the muscle which separates the two. And funnily enough, the name of that muscle is the septum. I will do double circulation, and I will probably do the order in which blood enters. So it is vena cava, right atrium, valve, tricuspid valve, right ventricle, pulmonary artery to lungs, back through the pulmonary vein, left atrium, bicuspid valve, left ventricle, aorta, and out.
Wait, where do you start from again?
Always start from the vena cava.
Okay, so
That's the
start
point
from
of
the
entry.
cava.
Yeah. So from the vena cava, yeah, yeah, and then from the lungs it comes to the pulmonary vein. So I like to draw it with the lung interconnecting. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's easier. All right. And then you can look at the differences between the arteries and the veins and the structure. Hi, Jim. Hi. It's good to see you. So my kids and I are trying to do a simple exercise. They need some revision cards making, and I'm just supporting them to make them. I'm starting them off. And they are making flashcards. A lot of parents have asked me about helping their kids to make those flashcards and to revise. So we have that's my son. And that's the daughter. And that's the mummy.
I'm the mother.
That was the mummy.
Hello, mother.
Hello, mother. Hi, Mom. You're right, Mom.
I've never had children.
All right, sorry.
Okay, great.
I was thinking you might even protest about not being female in the first place.
Well, if I can't have children, how can I be female?
Like men also do have children. Like, have you listened to the
Well,
logic
you're
of
pregnant.
Pregnant.
You have to have
you
children.
are your dad's kids. You know, you didn't have to be pregnant to be your dad.
You're the one pregnant though.
Oh my gosh.
Don't even go there. Right, let's go.
True.
So let's see, what was the question that you put on the back?
What of the types of benefits of double circulation?
Fabulous. So that's the actual extension, higher order questions. The benefits of double circulation.
Oh, wait.
Obviously,
Is
you
it
need to
split?
know. Right?
The camera's flipped, right? Did they see it's normally?
Oh my gosh.
I think they see things flick.
Oh.
So
That's
you're
a
all
problem.
left-handed?
No, we are not left-handed. It's the trick of the camera. It's flicked everything round. All of us do right. I am ambidextrous.
And for what?
You write with your left hand?
I do most things with my left hand except right.
Wait, you can write with your left hand.
I can, but it's very,
I can,
you know.
cut scissors and ride bikes with my left hand.
So, right, so you so too. Weirdo.
I can't do anything with my left.
I was left
Very normal.
Alright.
Very normal. So here we go. Those who've asked me and wanted me to give you a demo, please, this is my response to you. I think this is the best I possibly can do for you. I want to make sure that you don't miss out on what we do. I want you to be able to use your Christmas holidays to help your kids revise especially those kids you have in year 11 and the kids who have exams coming up straight after the Christmas break, really could do with a little bit of focus, a little bit of support in organizing themselves for studies. And this is a really nice family bonding exercise anyway. But it's also useful for revision and learning. So that's why we've chosen to do this today. When it's made, it's actually available. As you can see, each of the kids bring their own unique styles to it. Madame is the colorful, beautify, make it look amazing type of person. Sir is the I don't really give a hoot type of person, except to put loads of question marks at the front. Abs is a text-focused girl. She likes to put text. She likes to pour information. And I am the sketchy, diagrammatic one. And it's
kind
nice.
of ironic because you can't
Sketchy?
draw.
Yeah, I'm sketchy. I'm very diagrammatic.
You're very
But
sketchy,
it's
but
very
not the type you're
ironic.
talking about. You're
Very-
sketchy. That's not like what sketchy means.
Sketchy.
Excuse you.
Mum, do you know what sketchy means?
This is very sketchy, isn't it?
It is sketchy. It's not really representative, is it?
Yeah,
Not very
do you
artistic.
know what sketchy means?
Well, I'm
Mum,
sorry.
they changed the word now.
Who
Right.
changed it and why did they change it and what did they change it to?
Okay,
You know, like
by
when
sketchy
something
you
looks
think
very
like,
suspicious.
That's sketchy.
That's sketchy.
Alright, I didn't mean that kind of sketchy, thanks.
okay, we just had to help you before you start.
To help you.
Sketchy.
Oh, hi Frank and Paulina. Hi Avi. Hello. It's good to see you guys. So we are revising, we are preparing. I will not be involved in the use of the cards because I think mine are old enough to be able to cope on their own. But a bit of involvement whilst they make things gives you an overview of what they are up to.
Mum,
Yes,
in
my dear.
the active transport definition, do you need to mention protein carriers?
Later on you might do.
But now I don't.
Now it's the fact that it involves energy and it's against the concentration gradient. Yeah? Later on, when you've done the structure of the plasma membrane, that's at year 12, then we would involve the proteins, because right now we've not said anything about proteins. You don't even know what's in the cell membrane, do you? We've not touched on that yet. You haven't done it either.
Wait, haven't done.
The phospholipid bilayer structure,
Phospholipid.
the fluid mosaic structure of the plasma membrane. It's in year 12. It's in year 12. You don't do it now. That's only picked up in year 12. So at the moment, I will not worry too much about it. It is the fact that he uses energy and it goes against the concentration gradient or up the concentration gradient. And that's your 2 marker for definitions for active transport. Osmosis, however, is a 3 marker. You know
Because you
where the
have to-
scoring points are.
You have to
Yeah, we did
mention
it as
water
question.
potential. Water, you have to mention water.
1 water will score you 1 mark. What else apart from water? What else apart from water
Concentrate-
scores?
No.
Yeah, what's about the concentration gradient?
It
Concentration
goes-
gradient goes down.
It goes down the concentration
This is
gradient,
perfect.
yes. That's still 2 marks. Where's the third and final mark coming from? No, we've already
without,
done.
without any energy required to its active process.
It's a passive process, but
I
that's
mean,
not a scoring
passive.
point.
Okay.
Um,
That's
Why is it that everybody forgets the most important thing? It's across
potential.
a
'cause-
partially
no,
permeable membrane.
Oh.
Yeah, that partially permeable membrane, that's your third scoring point. You cannot forget that one. Right, Yala, put those definitions on.
Wait.
Hi, Sister Viv. Hi. So what we're doing is just making flashcards, revision cards. Each kid is making theirs. They're working on 2 different topics, and I'm just moderating in the middle. I'm hoping that those of you who keep asking me about
Oh, man.
how the kids make stuff, what do you mean by it? Can we see what you mean? That's the reason why I've decided to switch the cameras on. It was something I was going to do with each one of them anyway. So I'm killing. Really, boy? Really?
What do
The
we
cameras
do?
is up to be for how long?
Really? Good afternoon, Kasim. How are you, Kasim? I hope you are well. It's good to see you.
Is Qasim spelled with a K or a Q?
Okay. Right, yalla. Some people spell it with a Q, makes no difference. So we've seen definitions, right? Okay.
Wait, what are the examples?
Examples of diffusion would be gaseous exchange in the lungs.
Gaseous.
I think you should write in pen.
But I already started. Can I write gaseous and then in a different way?
Okay, go on. Gaseous exchange in the lungs and absorption in the small intestines would also
Gaseous.
exchange in the lungs. Do you know what that means? Do you know what gaseous exchange is?
Gas.
Which gases?
Carbon dioxide and oxygen.
Okay.
Gaseous exchange in the lungs.
In the lungs, or you can even specify alveoli at this point. You should know about the alveoli.
Can I just worry about
how exactly does double circulation?
So double
increase
circulation.
pressure?
Okay. What happens is that when blood comes in from the rest of the body, remember, especially from things like rising from the leg, it's going against gravity, isn't it? So working against gravity loses pressure. It arrives at the heart at very low pressure. You know that blood travels in the veins at a lower pressure, right? When it arrives through the vena cava, it goes through the atrium contracts, that pushes it into the ventricle, and then the ventricle contracts even further and pushes it through the pulmonary artery. So this is the first point where it receives a pressure boost. And then it climbs up to the lungs, it exchanges gas, and then it comes back and experiences the same thing. So it's actually pushed twice. So by the time it goes through the left side, the pressure is significantly higher, ready to exit to the rest of the body.
So I can explain as the number of chambers is larger in double than singular. More chambers contract.
There's more contraction, definitely. More opportunities to increase pressure. Does that make sense though?
Yeah, it does.
Good. So it comes in twice. The first time receives a boost, and then it receives the second boost, and so the pressure goes significantly higher than what it was when it arrived in the vena cava. And that's what you need for it to travel around the body. Hi everybody, hi. So we are just making flashcards. Obviously, this is something of a niche area for me, so I can support the kids. But if you are not a teacher, you are not a science teacher, you can still help your kids do them, because you can find most of these things from their textbooks and revision guides anyway. So Nana is working from his exercise book, from his notes. From class, and Abna is working from a textbook and with myself as a resource person. So examples of osmosis. Osmosis is just for water, isn't it?
Yeah, just water.
So most people tend to work around that and make it easier by just referencing water potential. And if you mention water potential, down the water potential gradient is a very clever way of getting 2 marks, down the water potential gradient.
In the test, can you write this instead of writing water potential?
No, I suggest you don't do things you've not defined.
Okay.
Yeah? If you've done it and you've defined it once, then that's fine. Yeah. No. So these things are little reminders. She's just written one for herself. No. Don't write this in the exam. No.
Don't
Write the actual word.
What's that?
It's a symbol for water potential. But you will have to at least define once in order to use symbols that are, yeah? Right, osmosis, give me some examples of osmosis. Osmosis happens in the roots. It happens through the stem.
Roots.
You will find osmosis involved in transpiration. Do you remember what transpiration is? What is transpiration?
Okay, so transpiration is travel of water throughout the plant from the roots to the point where it diffuses out the stomata.
That is actually transpiration. The exit point through the stomata is transpiration.
Wait.
It's just the exit point.
Yeah.
Exit,
Okay.
It's the exit of water from the stomata of plants, transpiration. The rest of what you are describing is transpirational pool, using osmosis, adhesion, cohesion, and a lot of other factors.
Wait, from the stomata?
We did something like that.
Of a leaf. You should have done that, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why I wanted to make that connectivity for you.
Okay.
That's
You've done the potometer experiment, haven't you?
which experiment?
The potometer experiment.
Yeah.
I think I saw that somewhere. Yeah. Hi Jeffrey. Hi Betty. Hi everybody. So what have you got? What information did you have?
Okay, so here I've got like these are these vessels.
Yeah.
Yeah. The transpirational pull I've got
Yeah.
listed here. The like adhesion, cohesion, all that.
Yeah.
I even got factors to show how it's affected.
Okay. The factors affecting transpiration, yes, that's definitely required. So now you know the depth to which the nodes have to go so you don't overlook anything. Yeah? So transpiration is actually the exit, but then the exit creates a vacuum which pulls the rest of them. But obviously transpirational pull works because of cohesion, because the water molecules are attracted to each other. And there's adhesion to the sides of the xylem. Absolutely. Absolutely. So we are still revising and we are making our flashcards. If you wanted to know the different styles of them, when we finish, you would see the output. Each kid has their own personal style stamped on there. Some people are minimalistic, some people are not minimalistic. Some of us are very diagrammatic, other people are not diagrammatic. It really doesn't matter. There's no right or wrong way, as long as it allows you to remember the key things and you are aware of the scoring points. So you would hear that as the kids, Christian, could you hi? As the kids are working, we keep discussing things that will score marks. It's very important that kids are clear of the scoring points and what are not scoring points. Yeah. And every time you do this, I would always connect these things so you don't create the illusion of a disconnection of the lungs. Yeah?
Okay, so what do I hear? Body.
Yeah. From body.
Body, then an arrow.
Yeah, to body.
To body. Wait,
No, from the body here.
This is sorry, you're
This is from the body, and then from the vena cava through the aorta is to the body.
Wait, I think this one's
To
from
the-
lungs.
yeah.
Lungs, you connected it to lungs, okay.
So lungs through to that one, excellent.
Definitely.
And the aorta goes right through to body. Excellent. Right, so we are working, we are revising, and we are helping each other alongside. I suggest that at some point during the Christmas break, that you take an opportunity to help the kids make what they would need for next term and what they would need to revise this term if necessary, because they would have end of year tests anyway. Depending on the age of the kids, the detail you will put on. So Nana's is very detailed at the moment. Abana's is still not as detailed because Abana is still working on core principles. Abana is diagrammatic and representative, so we do that. It makes it very quick and easy. This will probably be about 3 or 4 pages in the textbook, isn't it?
Hey,
Yeah, diffusion, osmosis, and all those will be about 3 or 4 pages in the textbook, simply summarized to one face of a flashcard. Done. It's a lot easier to revise from here than to revise from the textbook. And when you get in for ready for exams, all you want is the very important stuff. You don't want to waste time reading 4 or 5 pages and only needing very little information. Yeah.
try to remember, what's the benefit of separating oxygenated and deoxygenated blood?
Right, so if you allow oxygenated and deoxygenated blood to mix, then respiring cells will reduce a lower volume of oxygen
So to produce
to maximize the volume of oxygen delivered to respiring cells.
optimized delivered oxygen.
Yeah. And to remove carbon dioxide effectively. Remember, carbon dioxide is also slightly toxic to respiring cells. Ajwa, hi. Okay, so you definitely would enjoy this. This is not just for biology. This system can be used for comprehension. It can be used for spellings. It can be used for discovery reading. It can be used for many things. So you can take a textbook. You can read the textbook together. And then you can look for key concepts so that you can make notes from the key concepts ready to answer questions, comprehension questions based on the text. There's a lot of people who ask me what books to recommend for comprehension. I've always recommended the Oxford Treetops reading scheme. There are many other ones that you can check out, but I like the way they set things out for comprehension. You can look for comprehension revision guides and textbooks which are targeted specifically for comprehension development, because reading should be for comprehension, otherwise it's a waste of time in my book. Even if you're reading fiction, you need to comprehend what the fiction is about. So we are busy highlighting the differences between, so Nana is doing his basic highlights of the areas which are oxygenated and the areas which are not oxygenated. But again, looking at Missimo, you will find that what she's doing is condensing information from about how many sources. So she has some on paper, there's some in her book.
Some of this is from the textbook, some of this is what Miss Johnson was explaining.
Okay. So that is condensed, and now
I wrote all of this in 45 minutes.
and you can condense that now further on onto your card, and that's the final version on the card, isn't it? Right. So everybody is working slightly differently. Each person has different needs, so they are working to need. If you had a few kids, you could sit them around a bigger table. I only have 2 of them, and they are not that young, so we can squeeze onto a small table with lots of highlighters and stuff in between us, but there we go.
You can lose by osmosis.
Water. The only thing we discuss in osmosis is water, nothing else.
Great, thanks, Kurt. Moving
Down the
resources,
water potential gradient, eh?
like solutes.
Solutes move by diffusion, but they tend to use water's osmosis. Do you understand? They are swept along by the osmotic pressure,
Okay.
but the solutes themselves move by diffusion.
Okay.
Also, it says in the colon it has a high concentration of water
Yeah.
to water blood. What?
Right, so if you remember from the digestive system, it says water is reabsorbed from the colon, the large intestines.
Because it asks in osmosis, like.
Yeah, movement of water from the gut out of the gut so that you have your feces left over. It's osmosis. Anywhere where water moves, it is osmosis. Yeah?
So just high concentration to low.
Yeah,
It's like
because
the
there's
same-
more water in the colon and less of it in the blood, yes. By the time you finish digestion, there's a lot of water in the colon.
Diffusion is this is it? Requires energy from respiration. That's
Active transport.
why did I write osmosis?
I don't know. Osmosis and diffusion are both passive processes. They do not involve energy.
I think I made a mistake.
Alright, kiddo. You done?
With 1, yeah.
Okay, what's the next one?
So I've just done this section, so I think we need to do.
The actual structure of the vessels?
Yeah, I've got that here.
Okay. So what are you actually going to do next on a card?
I think you're going to do structured blood.
Okay. So if I was doing structure of the blood, again in my minimalistic version, this is what I would have done. We will have blood. How many components do we have in blood?
Okay, so
4. Come on.
5.
What's the 5th one?
I split white blood cells into lymphocytes and phagocytes.
Right, so you can, but that's at the moment just WBC. And you can split them off later, isn't it? White blood cells and RBC, red blood cells. What's the next one, Anna?
Platelets
Platelets
and plasma.
Just plasma.
and plasma. Abra, do you know which one plasma is?
What do you mean?
This one is liquid. This is solid.
It's kind of like honey, but a little lighter.
This is solid.
Liquidy, like really liquidy.
Platelets
Like water.
become insoluble.
So it's like jasmine tea. You know like jasmine tea?
It's what?
When
Like
exposed to air. And this is the key thing. When platelets are inside and not exposed to air, it's actually soluble.
fibrinogen.
Yeah. When it comes in contact with air, it
Right.
becomes insoluble, and that's why it forms the mesh, and you get the scab
This-
formation. Yeah. Well, this is a scar. The scab fell off a long time ago.
Like this?
Wait,
Yeah,
the
that's the
scab's the frame.
The scab is what you can see, the residue which falls off and leaves a scar.
So, then what's
So what you
this?
have there is a scar.
Wait, so what material is this made out of?
No, it's just
Skin.
it's leftover from the fibrin, but the residue, the excess falls off, and what was actually used to seal the tissue remains as
That's
the
like
scar.
this?
Yeah. So we have platelets, they are insoluble and become insoluble on exposure. Plasma is liquid. What's the purpose of plasma?
It's carry all the components of blood.
So
and
the key word
nutrients.
there is transport, isn't it? Red blood cells are also for transport, but it's
Oxygen.
transport of
Only.
oxygen only. And white blood cells,
To destroy pathogens,
right? So immune
Destruction
immune
of
system.
pathogens.
response, isn't it? You can also call it protection, right? So far he's working on the components of the blood. My sketchy version just starts him off with the 4 components split up like that, and then he can add information about each one, plasma and the composition of it, platelets and their purpose.
Bless you.
Bless you.
Bless you.
Excuse me.
You're sick.
There we go. Nadaraba, hi. Oh, thank you, Kojo Christian. Hey, Auntie Stella is on. Say hello to Auntie Stella.
Hi.
Hello.
Is that all she gets? Hi.
I said hi.
I said hello.
That hello was a little bit longer, but hi. Okay. Stella, hi.
No.
It's good to have you. Hi.
No.
Go on. All right. Hopefully, what we are doing just gives you a flavor of how this is done. And once you've made it, it's something you hold for revision. You flick through them a few times. It's a quick, easy way to access information.
Many people think we're left-handed.
It's the screen. Yeah, you notice how the text here is the wrong way around.
Well, they don't know what the right way around is, so they still wouldn't know. Right, listen. I am so excited that you guys are here and
Yeah,
watching.
you look weird.
I do pray and hope. What makes him look weird?
Because it's flipped.
Well, we all think we are left-handed, and that's about it. It's no more weird than normal. All right, so
Choose one.
That's mine.
if you are a parent looking to support your kids, I think definitions are really natural things to put on flashcards, isn't it? Definitions are good. Formula, if your kids are doing chemistry or physics, the formulae definitely belong on the flashcards. Units and stuff would also be good to put on here. And so I am here as a facilitator. You don't have to be an expert to do this. It just happens that in my case, it's an area that I can help the kids with naturally. But even if it was an area I was not naturally able to help them in, I could have the textbook,
Or the internet.
or I could have the internet. I could help them find the information, and I could still guide the kids competently to make flashcards even when I'm not an expert. You don't have to be an expert to do this. So most people say to me, what if I don't know what subject it is? It really doesn't matter. You just need to find the relevant source of information, access that information, and help your kids select the information required to put across. If you are doing exam classes, then the specification is usually a very good place to go. Now,
What does TITC mean?
I don't know.
Because it says solution in soil. Solution in soil is more dilute than in the root cells.
Than in the cells.
Than
Yeah, you did here.
oh
But that's a weird thing.
oh no, it was on.
It's
the
not even an
board.
acronym.
It was on the board.
Really?
I didn't know what it meant.
Than in the cells is not even a proper phrase for... I don't know. Anyway, I hope that what we've done has helped you somewhat. If it's helped you in some way, some feedback would be great. if you would like us to cover specific things, if you want us to show you specific things, please feel free to ask. You've seen enough of it. I don't think we should drag it any longer. I don't think sitting and watching the kids do it anymore would add any additional benefit, not in my book anyway. But if you have any specific questions about what we've done, then please feel free to ask and we will respond. So what would you say to parents? Why is it good to do flashcards?
Because
Teaches you skills and summarization. That's going to be a key thing in your exams because they're not going to give you a lot of space. If you write too much, well, you may get the mark, but you've wasted time to spend checking back on answers you may have gotten wrong before.
And I think sometimes writing plenty is the reason why you end up not finishing the exam.
yeah,
Or
there
not
are
having
people who
time
are like,
to
"I didn't
finish. Yeah, I didn't finish the exam is because you write a lot of nonsense in the earlier hours. Yes.
Some people in their biology exam were writing paragraph after paragraph after paragraph. They
Of what?
on
Nonsense.
biology.
But it's paragraph of nonsense.
I didn't finish.
And then it's much better if you spend the time and the energy on what is going to score. So I showed you the 3 points for definitions for osmosis, right? When you are writing, you make sure those 3 are given, done. No unnecessary writing. So yes, apart from that, so learning how to summarize so you don't waste time. Why is flashcarding also an advantage?
It's easy to carry.
It's easier to carry. You can put it in your pocket, especially at Christmas when you go to events and stuff. Okay, maybe not the big one. Maybe not the huge one.
These things are larger than books.
They're larger than your hand.
Hey, don't knock them. They are very effective. They are very useful.
You can put more information.
The size
in
of these things.
Yeah, flashcards are made up of keywords for sure. For sure. What else is an advantage of flashcards that we've not picked up?
Well, you can adapt them to your way of learning. So, well, you may be. So, if you really wanted to, you could be a really texty person and write a lot. Or, if you even wanted to, you could write a lot less as well.
I'm not done.
It's really up to you.
So it's personalized, isn't
Also,
it?
it's easier to study because in physics, when the teacher gave us 5 minutes to study, I had my flashcards and people were like this.
Wait, do that again. Right, so she says,
in-
go on, you tell the story.
In physics, we had 5 minutes to
Before
study.
the exam.
They gave you
Yeah.
5.
Lick your lips.
They gave us 5 minutes to study. I had my flashcards and people were like this. What is this?
I'm guessing they didn't quite find what they were looking for in those 5 minutes.
No.
Oh dear.
And then they're like, I'm going to fail. I'm like, we should have written flashcards.
Okay, so that's a good advert for flashcards. Help your kids avoid drama when they have 5 minutes.
Fail, I guess.
I don't know. It helps. It helps. Oh yes, Christian, you have to. You have to. You are happy, thank God. It's a good exercise for the memory. Definitely. A very good tool for memory development, especially for things like definitions where you've got to memorize and simply know. Structures and labels that you've got to simply know. It helps if you have them on flashcards and you can flick through them a few times. So, thank you so much for joining. I am so glad that some of you do stay and watch. This was in response to, Doreen, is that you? Hi sis, how are you? People ask me every now and again to demonstrate what I mean. And so when the opportunity presented itself, whilst the kids and I were making what flashcards they need and would be using, I wanted to invite you in and demonstrate it for you in the hope that you would tag it to your kids. You will allow your kids to watch themselves and to learn the strategies. Oh, I'm a big fan of flashcards. I am a really big fan of flashcards. I actually do have my classes make them
Because I don't have a black pen.
the last few lessons before exams.
I just remember.
You need black pens?
Yeah,
I think I do have black pens in the stock.
Wait, are you just drawing?
It's okay. She wants to draw, that's
Yeah,
fine.
so it's like the only pen I brought.
Yeah.
Sorry.
When she finishes, she'll give it back to you. I am definitely a fan of flashcards. I'm one of the teachers who actually sits with kids in class and make them do them. And people keep asking me, why is it that kids in your class remember the details to things like labeling and stuff? It's because I actually give them time to make the flashcards. If I can't fit in any time to do it in class, that is my homework in the build up to exams. They actually have to make it. They actually have to come show me. And the making of the flashcards is probably more important than demonstrating it to anybody else. Trying to make it requires that you find the information and you condense it and you use it. And occasionally you will flick through it to consolidate. So let's see what Nana's final outputs look like.
I have no got into writing. If you want final, you might be.
Okay, so the first one he did, he asked himself a question and then he answered.
You got the hints, Mum.
Oh, hints, oxygen in the blood. So he gives himself little hints. He has another hint over here. So these are hints, reminders, things that draw his attention to stuff. And then the details of what he needs to cover. That's his. Nana's is not minimalistic, not by any stretch of the imagination. And Missy Mo has made one. Oh, flashcards saved your life. Yes, it saved many lives, believe me. And Missy Mo is making her own. They are diagrammatic with a few key things around and the odd text at the back. You have to work out what your style is. I showed you some of their earlier flashcards. Okay. That's Nana's flashcard with a pot belly.
2 years ago.
This is from 2 years ago. He says, just so you know, he's a lot more mature.
I used them.
And he's done, so he's passed it on to his sister, and his sister uses them. I liked those flashcards because they actually made me giggle every time I saw them. When you saw a flashcard with a pot belly, there was a second one too, this one.
Yeah,
yeah. There you go. Yeah. One begins with a D and one one begins with a D and the other begins with a C. Those types of variation. Ridiculous. And then he does himself little reminders every now and again. My favorites are actually the illustrations, the diagrams. They are hilarious. You will remember these things quite easily because of the diagrams. So you need to work with your kid and find out if they are kinesthetic learners or auditory learners or visual learners, and that will influence the style of flashcarding that the kids will do. But thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for sharing. If you know any other place where the video should be to target students and their parents, especially in the build up to the Christmas holidays, then please put the video out there for me, share to your pages for me, invite other people to watch, so that we actually do make a difference to each other and our kids over this period. Thank you. Catch you soon. Say goodbye to everybody.
All right. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Thanks for watching.